Yay, cool.
Do we get to see everybody? Should I click on show
So they're
all?
just gonna be chats. So instead of
Oh, okay.
yeah, so
So,
like you're presenting and yeah, kind of more like a presentation.
so they can see me.
They
Yes?
can see you and they can
Okay.
see me.
Hello, everybody. All right.
Yes. So we have Sherry and Marie, Julie, Lisa, Joan. Yeah. So hi guys. Yes.
Okay.
Kara. Awesome. I'm excited. So we will get started. And yeah, it sounds like people figured out the chat option. So if you have questions, just shoot them in the chat and we'll have fun. I'm excited.
Why don't I give people like a couple more minutes till 5 after to
Okay, yeah,
show up?
we're up to 23. So
Okay.
I think we're good.
Are we?
Megan. Yeah, we're pretty close. I want to say it was I didn't fully count, but I because it didn't list it, so I had to like go through and count everybody. So
Oh,
I said it was like around 25. So we might just be missing a couple. And some people may have registered for and then just waiting for the replay. I know sometimes people do that.
right. I've got a few requests for that. So
Yes.
why don't I start? Did you want to
Do an
pre?
intro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess. Well,
What would
yeah.
you like to
So,
do?
yeah, I guess we'll do introductions. So, I'm Stacey Steinmiller, and I was also a psychotherapist for about 12 years. And now I've recently moved into coaching, life coaching, um, also adding more of a spiritual component. Um, and so that I noticed a lot of similarities between where my life path is going and where Dale's has been in the past.
Has been. Thanks a lot.
Well, I meant like,
I know. I'm
you
just
know.
playing.
um, so
But
yeah, so I was really excited to connect with Dale and yeah, and kind of I guess bring a little bit more fun technology component to your world.
yes. So forgive me, everybody, if I'm totally technologically inept and screw something up.
No, this is good. So, all right, I think most people here know you, Dale, but for those watching the replay and the new people, why don't you introduce yourself?
Okay. And I just want to say hi to a lot of people who I haven't seen in a while. So I still can't see you, but you, I'm glad you're here. Um, I don't know what to say about myself, but I'd like to just dive in and see where we go. So I want to start with a meditation, the awareness meditation, just to get everybody here. So if you would all get comfortable and close your eyes and take a few deep breaths. Just settle into your chair or your cushion or whatever you're sitting on or standing, and come into your body. Bring your awareness to the top of your head and just relatively slowly bring your awareness down from the top of your head down to the tips of your toes, paying attention to every little place in your body as you move down through the body. So the outside and the inside, the skin all the way into the marrow of the bones. Little by little, we're not trying to do anything. We're not trying to relax or do anything but notice what's going on in your body on the level of sensations. every part of your body, gently noticing as you move the attention down. If there's tension, if there's openness, spaciousness, relaxation, if there's warmth or coolness, sense of fullness, a sense of emptiness, just simply noticing what's there, inhabiting your body. Coming down through the head and the shoulders, the chest, the neck, the upper arms, just little by little allowing the awareness to, you could say, be pulled down by gravity, letting it settle. There are places where you won't feel any sensations. You might not feel sensations at all anywhere. That's okay. Just to bring your awareness into the body is what's important. All the way down through the torso, the hips, not omitting any part, down through the thighs and the calves, all the way down to your feet. Just noticing as you move along what's there. Your body is always present. Your mind, not so much. Your mind goes easily into the past and the future. The body is here, always here. And if you're an adventurous person, see if you can open your awareness wide enough to include all the sensations in your body everywhere. Let your whole body be filled with awareness. Just notice what that's like, how you're affected by opening the awareness to the totality of your body. Notice if you're aware of it from your head or if you're aware of it from the body itself. If the body is aware. And if you're still feeling adventuresome, see if you can now open your awareness to include all of the sensations in your body and all of the sounds that enter your awareness. Sounds in your room, sounds outside your room, sounds in your ears. Sensations and sounds. Notice how they rise and fall away moment after moment. Nothing to hold on to. Just allowing sensations to come and go, sounds to come and go. Open awareness. Just this moment. sensations and sounds. And one more thing, if you're willing. Notice thoughts. Notice how the thoughts come and go. If you don't grab onto them, if you don't push them away, they're born and they die moment after moment, all by themselves. It's miraculous, really. They come out of nowhere, they go back to nowhere. Sensations, sounds, thoughts. And if you're willing, keep your eyes closed. Keep your awareness open. Open to sensations and sounds and thoughts. And from this place, I want to say a few things about what Heartwork is all about. Heartwork is about coming back home to yourself. First to your small s self, your identities, who you believe you are, allowing yourself to be who you are. And then ultimately opening to the capital S self, the self that includes self and others, self and the universe, the self that I'm currently referring to as consciousness. Some people call it the universe, or God, or pure awareness, presence, the Tao. All different names for the same substance, the same essence. In the human being, some people call it true nature, your true nature, although actually it's true nature, the true nature, but it lands in a human being. I sometimes think of it like the white light. People often say, I've seen the light, that pure consciousness. It's like a white light that when it enters the human being is like a prism. It breaks that light up into different colors. And each color is like an essential aspect. All the things, all the qualities that we attribute to God, love, joy and peace and strength and power, compassion, wisdom, all of these qualities are ours. They're part of true nature. And the course of Heartwork, the course of any real, in my mind, spiritual practice is one of disillusionment. Letting go, seeing through all of our beliefs about the way things are. And coming home to oneself just as one is, and the universe just as it is, without making anything of it, without creating our own reality that we come to believe is reality, but it's really just our beliefs, our thoughts, our ideas, our identities that we project out onto the world. One of my favorite quotes, what is. Resisting what is the source of all suffering. It is that simple. There are no exceptions. What is. A couple minutes ago, you were doing a meditation, I call it awareness meditation, and you were noticing how your thoughts come and go, and you didn't have to believe them. You didn't have to create a world out of them. They just came and they went. Somebody recently I read said, the liver secretes bile, the brain secretes thoughts. It's that simple. So I have this, what I call funnel analogy. When we're born, we're down here at the bottom of the funnel. We're a single point. We're whole. We haven't split from ourselves. We haven't separated ourselves from the universe. We're one. Or in Zen, they would say not two. We're one with everything. Things happen to us as little beings that are too painful, too frightening for us to deal with. So we split. We can't handle it. We create an unconscious. So we've got a conscious and an unconscious. Things keep happening. We keep splitting till we're living our lives up here on the surface of the funnel. The deepest desire in human beings is to regain our wholeness, to remember who we really are, the truth of our being in the moment. And the unconscious in its brilliance creates up here on the surface of the funnel pain that mirrors the pain that we split from long ago. In this culture, we're taught to not feel pain, to avoid it, fight it, run away from it, numb it out. Every addiction, every one of the addictions is an attempt to avoid dealing with the pain that we buried a long time ago. I like to tell people when we're working together that they're not going to find anything inside themselves that isn't already there. It's just that as long as it's unconscious, it's running the show. Mm-hmm. We have no choice because we're not aware of what's going on. So as we descend the funnel, we become more and more aware of what is running the show. Excuse me. And then we have a choice whether to go in that direction or to just let it run its course and come out of that place of wholeness that's our true nature. We descend the funnel until we come all the way back home to that single point. From that place, we can clearly see how we created all of that suffering. And then we can choose not to do it anymore. That's the wonderful thing about doing this deep inner work. It gives us true freedom. Mm-hmm. So I think I'll pause here and entertain any questions or comments.
Yeah, thank you for the meditation and the explanation. I really like that funnel analogy. I think that really helps make it digestible and understandable.
Thanks. Yeah. I like it too.
Yeah, of course.
So, Stacey, are you going to be the intermediary reading me the
Yeah, you
questions.
can't see the chats.
Oh, so it'll be on the top, not at the bottom, huh?
Scroll to the bottom of the chats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
see.
So if
Got it.
anybody has any, or even if you want to share,
If not,
yeah, we
I'll
can.
just tell bad jokes and stories.
I usually like words that like hit different. I liked your use of the word marrow in the meditation. It really gave it that like depth, to go in. I thought that was really powerful. I felt like I had another thought, but as you said, they just come and go, right? And just letting them come and go a little too much, I think, sometimes.
The older you get, the quicker they go.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm always interested with playing with the use of different words and how my system kind of responds. And yeah, I always find that helpful.
So, story number 1, here we come. So that favorite quote, what is.
Oh, we have did you
We
see
do.
the comment? Okay.
Okay, let's see. I'll read it out loud. Can everybody see the comment?
I assume so. They should.
Okay.
But yeah, why don't you read it out
I'll
loud?
read it. When you talk about the split and you shaped your hands like a V, then you did parallel hands above and below each other when you mentioned the funnel. Could you review that once more? Sure. So this is like the funnel, and we have that single point at the bottom, but then when we split, we become divided in ourselves. Splitting means dividing. We have a conscious mind that we're aware of, and then we have the unconscious where we've buried the pain. So that's what I was talking about. And by the way, all of that unconscious stuff is in the body. It's in the musculature. And so Heartwork works through the body because that's the most direct access to what we've suppressed.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of loving those places that we've rejected. And I sometimes will say to somebody, well, how does that part of you that you've rejected feel about being rejected? And often someone will feel the pain of what they've done to themselves. And, I believe that ultimately, the most painful thing is separating from ourself, from our true self, from our true nature. And to feel that pain is the doorway to coming home. I like to say, despair is the last doorway, or to quote Sartre, life begins on the other side of despair. Okay, Lisa, I had someone refer me to your webinar. Can you give an example of a breakthrough for one of your previous participants? Sure. So this was a long time ago. A young man came to see me. His issue was that he felt like a failure. So we kind of hovered over the field for about 6 months. And then I asked him, have you ever let yourself experience failing? And he said, yeah, I do every day. I said, no, you've never really let yourself experience failing, have you? He said, no, I never have. I said, are you willing? And he said, yes. And he lay down on the floor. And his words were, it's like I'm inside my fear. He dropped into and through his fear. He came home to himself. Fear is the separation. Love is what brings us together. Okay? He dropped through his fear, came home to himself. His story was he'd gotten a master's degree in photography from the Chicago Art Institute, probably one of the top photography schools in the country. Never practiced photography. Came to Rochester to apprentice with Wendell Castle. Wendell's one of the foremost not worker, but he's an artist. Makes furniture and sculptures. Anyway, he apprenticed with Wendell for 2.5 years, became proficient enough to go off on his own and make furniture. Never made furniture. Started apprenticing with Albert Paley, perhaps the foremost metal worker in the world. Truth was, he didn't want to be a photographer. He didn't want to be a wood craftsman. He didn't want to be a metal craftsman. He wanted to be an architect. But he was so afraid that if he tried and failed, he'd have no reason to live anymore. So after this experience that he had, he put together a portfolio and applied to the two top architecture grad schools in the country, Yale and Berkeley, and got into Yale without an undergraduate degree in architecture. So he's competing with the sons and daughters of the top architects in the world, all of whom have gone to the best undergraduate architecture universities in the world. He needed a lot of help from the professors to get through, but he got through. He ended up working for the University of Colorado in the building and architecture department, worked his way up to the top of the department. Then he went into fundraising for the university, and then he went off on his own as a consultant, had his own consulting firm. He married a young woman, beautiful young lady, who he met at one of the Heartwork retreats, had 3 lovely daughters. That's a success story. Okay, let me go on to who's next. Let's see. Pardon?
Oh, I guess there's an issue with the names are coming up different for some people. So I don't know. So there was just some technical issues going on. But yeah. So sorry about that. I do not know. But yes, beautiful story. I agree. Yeah.
There's a comment here. Beautiful, loving the places we've rejected.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the heart of it.
That's the deal, right? That's the heart of the matter. Yeah.
So Bailey, thank you for, yes, I guess if your name is coming up differently, which I'll figure out, I'll message them to figure out, I wonder what that is. Yeah, so thank you, Bailey. Can you explain what our true nature is? What does that feel like? That's a good question.
Oh, great. I love talking. Oh, and thank you for doing this, Stacey.
Oh, no problem. This is fun.
So, true nature. I like to say to people, have you ever been in a situation where you weren't thinking, like a car accident where your life is in danger and you're just like right there, the adrenaline is pumping, and you know, that's a moment of true nature. Or I like my first experience, and I usually refer to this as presence. Presence is an aspect of true nature. I think of it as the antechamber to true nature. When I was young, I had a trail bike, a Kawasaki 90cc trail bike, and I lived a block. I lived in a suburb of Detroit, but on 10 acres of wooded land, and across the road was a woods and trails that went through it. And I would ride that bike so fast that if I had a single thought, I was toast. And it was like my body and the machine were one thing. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like I was so present I wasn't thinking about reacting. I was just responding. I'd hit a curve and I'd just respond. I would do what needed to be done without having any thought. Or sometimes, like a magnificent sunset or sunrise, which your breath is taken away. Those kinds of moments are glimpses of true nature. So we all have them. A lot of time we're not even aware. It's like we don't bring awareness to it. It just happens. Yeah. But that's true nature.
I always like the word allow, because it really, like I said, I really like words and the powerful ones. That's always been a powerful word for me, to allow, because so much of our humanness, we're creating or making, or it's like this forward movement, like, what's my true nature? I need to go find it in the woods somewhere. And then we end up having this approach that then we miss it. That's so with right. The word allow, I think it really sets that stage for the awareness. And then it's like we allow the true nature to like, I don't know, the word come out or be aware of it, or however you want to phrase that. But I thought I'd share that. Oops, sorry, my cat's going crazy right now.
I like that. I'll piggyback off of that if you don't mind.
So, yeah.
Even if you do mind, I'll piggyback off of that. So you could say that true nature is allowing everything. E. Cummings says, I believe that yes is the only living thing. Saying yes to everything, not rejecting anything.
Yeah.
Allowing everything to come and go.
To be, like you said earlier, suffering is resistance. Yes.
That's right. And the problem is human beings like pleasure and don't like pain. And that's why we suffer.
That's how we are. Yeah. And it's
seeking, like you say.
Yep.
Seeking after pleasure and rejecting pain.
Yeah, and you brought up addiction earlier, which is that, the seeking of the pleasure and the reducing of the. I'm sorry for the noises my cat's making. So I think this is Bailey again. The pain and the pain we create ourselves that you mentioned in the funnel can present as archetypes too. Yeah, that might be fun to talk about some Jungian archetypes, maybe, or I don't know where you want to go with that.
I got into archetypal psychology for a period of time. I did a few retreats on what are called the archetypes of the mature masculine.
Yep.
But honestly, I've kind of left that behind because I don't think it gets to the heart of the matter. And I'm getting old and I don't have time to waste.
Yeah. Sometimes
not that it's not valuable.
Yeah. I think, and especially when we're on our journeys, I notice different things are helpful at different times in our life, I would say.
Precisely.
And also maybe based on personalities and how our minds work. But I think the archetypes, when we know them well, it helps us to catch that maybe we're in shadow material, or whether we're in shadow archetype or light archetype and so forth. So you can catch better, like, oh, I'm in like a victim mentality, or, like whatever might be happening. And so that you can use the Jungian archetypes. I'll have people create their own archetypes by coming into the body and then where that pain is, and then visualizing what that pain looks like outside of their body. It could be personified. It could be just like textures or colors, and then we'll talk to that archetype to develop the compassion and decrease the phobia to the shadow material. And I found that to be effective. And I like that too, because the archetype becomes personal to each individual instead of just like a set of archetypes for the collective. So I find that fun. But yeah.
Yeah, I like what you said about we go through different stages in our growth, in our evolution. And I did find the archetypes helpful when I studied them.
Mm-hmm.
And I recommend from that experience, there's a series of lectures by Robert Moore. This is for men.
Mm.
The king, the warrior, the magician, and lover
Yeah.
archetypes. And those lectures were really useful to me and to the men that did those retreats. So I would recommend if there are any men listening or any women who have men who want to grow.
Well, yeah, I find I'll use those for women as well and just change king to sovereign. If it's a man, I'll say king. But I think with women, it's also just you're sovereign, empowered, your power from within versus power over. So I'll use that way. So I'll just kind of edit it to.
Do you know the Robert Moore work? Robert Moore?
I am familiar with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've done a lot of work with with those 4 particular light archetypes, and then the shadows underneath them, and then that's where the language is helpful. So so I'll use child as opposite of king. So child energy, wanting to be like, look at me, I'm special, or I should be treated differently, or I don't want to work hard, or why do I have to do this? Or and then recognizing, oh, I'm in the child archetype. I think, oh, just because I did this, I should get some award. And then no, I'm going to claim my inner power and say that this is what's happening, and then access the warrior energy to do the work to make the phone calls, to do the thing, whatever it is, and to work on manifesting from the magician. But yeah, I've gotten all into it too, so now I'm yapping too much, so
No,
I'll
that's
quiet
great.
down.
That's great. That's parallel.
That's fun. Yeah. How do you find the place where you know what it is that you really want to do with your life, dreams and aspirations? Ooh, this is a fun one.
Well, I'm laughing because we used to do these things called intensives. They were called intensives because they were really intense. And one of the things that we did, we had people claim their deepest resources that they have not yet claimed fully, the claiming of which will allow them to bring their gifts into the world. You had to go through your fear to get them. And people had trouble getting them. And we worked in what we called pods, which is short for podners in Texas. Did a lot of work in Texas. So we would have the pods of 4 break up into pairs of 2, and one of the partners would stand in front of the other one, getting in their face, saying, "What do you want? What do you want? What do you want?" And that person that was answering had their arms out, parallel to the ground, perpendicular to their torso. And they had to keep their arms out until they knew what they wanted. And when they got it, their partner knew that they got it because there was this release and this joy. They lit up, they came to life, basically. There's a quote from Joseph Campbell about essentially that's what we all really want. We really want to experience being fully alive. Those of you who don't know this little fact, Joseph Campbell got a gold medal in the Olympics in track. He ran, I think it was the quarter-mile relay. Anyway, Joseph Campbell was probably the greatest American mythologist that ever lived. That's what he's known for, not for his gold medal. So what was the question?
I think it was referring to your
How do you know? How do you know?
how do you know dreams and aspirations? And I think it was referring to the story that you had told about your former client. Like, I think that's where that generated from.
He always knew what he wanted. He was just afraid to go for it.
Yeah, I think that's true for most of us. Our fears get in the way, and then we build layers and layers and layers of fears. And actually, yeah, there's usually shame, like getting to your inner genius is like through the shame. And usually where the most shame is where your innermost genius lives.
That's interesting.
And we build all these walls around it. Yeah, I always, yeah, it's interesting.
Sometimes when people ask me what Heartwork is all about, I say, or they say, what do you do? I say, I teach people how to move through fear. And I say, when you know that you can move through fear, you can do anything that you're capable of doing, because the only thing that stops you is you hit a wall of fear and you back away.
Yeah.
And that's what stops you. It's not the fear that stops you, it's the backing away from it.
Yeah.
So I teach people how to move through fear. And I say, whatever you can do, and I say, like, I'm never going to play quarterback for the Buffalo Bills because that's not my karma this time. But whatever I can do, if I hit that wall of fear and move through it, I can do it. And I say that that's the difference between a child and an adult.
Yeah.
When a child hits a wall of fear, they back away. When an adult hits it, they move through it.
Yeah. Yeah. And our willingness to fail, like your story from before, right? Because if you hit the fear, the only reason to not go through is the fear of failure. So if you make it not matter, if we dissolve the ego so that if you fail, it's just like oops, like try again, then you're able to you move past that. So that's where I think working with the ego to no longer identify with it, then you don't feel like you're under attack if something didn't work out the way your mind told you that it was supposed to work out. And who's to say that your mind was right to begin with? Like, it doesn't know. But your true nature does. Right?
That's right. I thought of something when you were talking. I lost it.
It'll come back.
Yeah.
Yeah, some more. I'm glad you guys like the cats.
Someone here says, can you say more about the process of working through the body? That was the last one that came.
Yeah, I think that's the last question. And most recent one.
Yeah, I was laughing at one that came a few minutes ago.
Oh.
So working through the body. So the traditional classical Heartwork goes like this. A person comes in to my office or my Zoom room, and I ask them to describe to me as clearly and concisely as possible what it is that they want to resolve, work through, get rid of, whatever. What's the source of your suffering that you want to get past? And they'll tell me, and I'll say, now notice where in your body you feel some kind of discomfort or tension around that issue. And they'll find that place, and I'll say, what's it like there? What's going on in that place? And they'll tell me, and I'll ask them to describe it in detail, like, how big is it? What color is it? What shape is it? And essentially, I invite them to get closer with their awareness, to get closer and closer and closer to that place in their body. Sometimes I'll say, so imagine that you know, it's giving off some energy, like you walk past a potbelly stove, you feel the heat. What kind of, can you get close enough to feel the energy that it's giving off? And can you move through that energy, into that energy, to touch the surface of this thing? And can you get inside the surface? What's the surface made of? What's it like? You know, what's the spirit? What's the energy of the surface? And can you slide under the surface and feel it from the inside instead of the outside? And we just keep going deeper and deeper into the center of the thing that they've been pushing away. And that's the bottom of the funnel. In the center of that thing is that single point. And the term, I think it's biblical, the peace that passeth understanding, that's what's in the center of the center. And it's a different kind of love. It's not a personal love. It's a universal love. But from that place, they can peer out to the surface and see how they created this out of that emptiness. The center, our true nature, is empty. It's empty of beliefs. It's empty of identities. It doesn't know. It doesn't know. So giving up all knowing, you can see how you started to believe this thing. What was the pain that you were trying to avoid by creating this belief as a defense, or creating this identity as a defense against feeling that pain? And then the next time that issue arises, because rarely do they go away completely in one session, but now you're aware, and it arises of what's underneath it, and you can move through it. I developed Heartwork because I saw that in psychotherapy, people kept working on the same issue over and over and over again, like for decades, literally 25 years. Because in order to really resolve it, they had to give up the identity, and they were too terrified of not having an identity, of not knowing who they were. And then I saw a lot of people doing deep spiritual work and having experiences of true nature, but not having worked through all of their psychological stuff. So I used to say there was a bunch of enlightened neurotics walking around the streets of Rochester, and they didn't know how to have relationships because all of that stuff that they picked up along the way got in the way. Yeah. Okay. I think you want to say something. No, I'm talking too much. Did you want to say something?
Nothing particular. I'm just listening, enjoying.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that was helpful.
So this person a few minutes ago said he had been to my retreats, my intensives. He said, halftime at retreat has been a wonderful and practical gift. Thinking thought is a powerful addition.
It meant addiction, the addiction to thought.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, addiction.
Yeah, looks like. Oh, did you want to say something about that?
Yeah, the intensives and the retreats.
Would you have one coming up in March? You can use this opportunity.
Certainly.
That Dale has the upcoming retreat in March, and is this going to be similar to prior retreats, or is there going to be something different about this one? Because it sounds like some people here have been to your previous ones. Yeah.
Heartwork for the last 40 years has focused primarily on working through the psychological barriers. Now we're moving into more of a direct experience of what's on the other side of those psychological barriers, true nature, consciousness,
Nice.
having the direct experience and making it so much easier to work through the psychological barriers. And we're going to do a lot of really interesting, let's call them experiments, in this retreat that we've never done before, each of which gives one an opportunity to have a direct experience. And they build one upon another, bringing people more and more into presence, into that antechamber, so that they can walk through the doorway and come back home. Yeah.
Where is the retreat being held?
Well, if enough people are willing to go through my COVID protocol, we'll have part of the retreat here, in this room, and the room next door, which is much larger than this room. But most people will be doing it on Zoom.
Virtually, yeah.
And some people will be doing it, like there are a few people in Texas that might get together in one of their homes
Oh, that makes
in
sense.
Texas.
And Zoom in. Yeah, yeah. Cool. Yeah. Bailey asked, why are we so resistant to our pain?
Well, it seems to be the way animals are built. I don't know any animals that like pain. And believe it or not, we're animals. We're mammals. We don't like pain. It's an intense. Here's a little aside. In the intensives, in addition to it's called the cross of gold, we would do this thing that someone coined the term inward bend. It's a variation on the forward bend, the yoga posture, Paschimottanasana. Essentially, you would bend forward, you would find a position for your legs, so that if you bent forward as far as you can, your head would be about 1.5 feet from the ground. Your arms behind your back, and then you just allowed gravity to pull you down. After a while, it became uncomfortable. A little while longer, it became very uncomfortable. Then it became painful. Then it became very painful. Then it became excruciatingly painful. Now, at that point, 4 things could happen. One is, person could end it, just get out of the posture and do something else. Or person could have a large emotional release where something that had been buried decades prior surfaced and was released, came into consciousness and was felt, was experienced and released. Or a person could have this experience of surrendering completely, 100% to the pain. And in that process, they would discover that what we usually think of as pain is really resistance to intense sensation. And when we stop resisting, it's not painful anymore.
Yeah.
And people could get in that position and hold it forever. Same thing with this. A few people, discovered that once they got through the pain, they could hold their arms out. It was like something was holding their arms up instead of them. Some energy was holding their arms up. They could hold it forever. And then the last thing that could happen was, on rare occasions, someone would have a direct experience of consciousness of true nature. So, love your pain. Love it. I think we're running out of time. Is that right? We go for an hour?
Whatever you've got. I've got sometime. We have another
I've got
question.
I've got
You got
time.
some time?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. I love talking.
I know you do.
As long
I'll
as
let you know
people
when
will
I have to
listen.
go to bed.
Let's see. Can you touch on who am I and how we develop who we believe we are, how we develop the I? Yeah. Okay, that's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
So it starts when we're really little. I mean, when we're born, when we're down here at the bottom, we're one with everything, especially mommy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially mommy. And then we get this crazy idea. I like to think of it as God's glitch in his blueprint for human beings. We get this crazy idea that we are separate from mommy, that we are separate from the universe, that I'm me. I'm great. I mean, look at little 2-year-olds that aren't inhibited. They think they own the world, right? They're the greatest. It happens. It happens to everyone. Everyone. Even the most deeply enlightened beings have to go through this separation and then come back home.
Yeah, it's part of the problem. You can't come back home if you never left.
That's right.
So we have to leave. We have to develop the ego. We need it to survive. We want to feed ourselves and do basic things.
Even if we don't have to do those. I mean, the Buddha didn't have to do any of that. He was a prince.
Yeah.
But he still developed an ego and
Right.
worked really hard for many years to transform, to transcend it. But anyway, yeah, so I've asked 3 teachers of mine, why? Why do we split from ourselves in the first place? My first teacher said, well, imagine that you're God and you're all alone in the universe forever. Said, you might get kind of lonely after a while. So you create these beings, these intelligent beings, who have forgotten that they're God.
Yep.
And that's the game.
Yep.
So you entertain yourself with these human beings, right?
Yeah.
So
You get to be Dale. I get to be Stacey. We get to play our little part.
that's right.
And forget. And
My,
remember.
and my second teacher basically said what you're saying. He said, my first Zen teacher, he said, we split from our true nature so we can experience the joy of coming back home again.
Yeah.
And my third and all-time favorite teacher said, I don't answer why questions. Let's see. Yeah. The comment is, it is so interesting to go inside myself and think about what my answer is when someone asks, who are you?
I forgot. I figured out I could do this. I can put it on the
Oh,
screen.
how cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So who are you? That's in Zen practice, Rinzai Zen practice. There are things called koans. These are questions that you can't answer with your mind, with your conceptual mind. They're designed specifically to break through duality. And one that's given in the beginning is, who are you? Who am I? That's a very common first koan, breakthrough koan.
I like I like reading the dialogues of Nisargadatta Maharaj, and because most of them are centered on the "Who am I?" question, and those dialogues I found helpful in kind of breaking that down. Yeah.
Oh, here we go. All right. I love Dale jokes and funny wisdom from his teachers. So you want to hear my latest?
Wait, hold on. We got another actual question. And then you can tell a joke.
Then I'll tell that joke. Do you feel most of our physical pain is from our emotional pain? I'm careful about that. I'm careful.
That one can be really tricky.
Yeah. Freud said a lot of wise things. One time he used to like to smoke cigars. And a cigar is a phallic symbol, right? I mean, you can't get much more phallic than a cigar. Somebody commented to him, isn't the cigar a phallic symbol? And his answer was, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. So sometimes we have karma, we have environmental factors, we have genetic factors, and we have emotional factors. And the truth is, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. I like to, in conversations with people who are convinced that science has a monopoly on the truth, I like to say, if you ask any real scientist the question, what's that, long enough, they will have to at some point say, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a story about this man named Albert Szent-Györgyi, got a Nobel Prize in chemistry for discovering vitamin C. He wanted to understand human nature, so he studied biology, because we're biological beings, and realized that in order to really understand biology, he needed to understand chemistry. He got a PhD in biology, went on, got a PhD in chemistry. In order to understand chemistry, he saw that you had to understand physics, got a PhD in physics, and he said, in the end, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. Who are we? I mean, this is the thing about this retreat, consciousness. So I don't want to ruin the surprise. Like in my book, I have that little sequence you go through in the beginning. What do you want? What do you want that you don't have? What do you have that you don't want? What do you really want? And then I say, well, if you want to know what you really want, look at what you have. Nobody likes that usually, but it's true. At least 51% of you wants what you have. Mm-hmm. And then what do you really, really want? Yeah. Which is what we're talking about here, true nature. And then the rest of the book is how to go about getting it. If you haven't read my book, it's a beautiful book and it's a good book. And the only credit I take for its beauty is that I'm good friends with the artist and designer.
Megan has a good question.
Megan.
I don't know if you're actually Megan. Sorry. Oh, no, you are Megan. So your name and they match. Yay.
Do I think there's a relation between genetic conditions, pain, and ancestral trauma we carry? Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Do I think there's a relation between everything, Megan? Probably. I think it's all connected. They're different levels of consciousness, you could say. And I have this schema in my head that the physical body is the most dense. And then there's the energy body, where acupuncture works, homeopathy, those things. And then there's the emotional body, right? And true, when we're holding pain inside of us, emotional pain, eventually the tension wears away the tissues, and the physical body becomes ill, diseased. Definitely. It's one cause. Then there's the mental body. This is the place where we hold our beliefs and our identities, right? That's what creates the emotions, right? When you don't know who you are or what this is all about, there's no fear. There's no emotions, right? And then there's the spiritual dis-ease where we have split from true nature.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it kind of filters down hierarchically, and I also see it like a circle with different arcs on it. Each of those that I just described are a different arc, and I say to people, the more positive energy you put into each of those arcs, the sooner the whole thing, the whole being, raises up to a new level. That's what I think. Do I get to tell my joke now?
You can tell your joke. And then we'll maybe wrap up after that. Does that sound good?
Okay, unless there's more questions.
Unless there's more questions.
So I think this is related to what we're talking about here. There are these 3 guys on a desert island. They're shipwrecked, so far from anywhere that their cell phones don't work. And it's a desert island, and they want to survive, so they start walking around looking for anything that they could eat. And one guy sees a bottle in the sand, and he picks it up, and a genie pops out. And the genie says, "I will grant each of you one wish." The guy with the bottle says, "That's easy. I want to go home." Poof, he's gone. Second guy grabs the bottle. He says, "Me too. I want to go home." Poof, he's gone. Third guy grabs the bottle and he says, "I'm kind of lonely. Wish my friends were back." So
that's good.
I have a question.
Mm.
I had a few people who wanted to be here but couldn't make it for one reason or another, and they asked if it was going to be recorded. Will you send all of us that are here?
So cross your fingers to the technology gods, and it says that it's doing stuff. So after I end the broadcast, you don't go anywhere, okay? Because I want to make sure that it has uploaded. And what I will do is I'll take it and then I'll put it on YouTube. So it has like a real easy link, and then we can just set out the link. So that's my plan. And we'll cross our fingers. And if for some reason it doesn't work, it just means you need to go to Dale's retreat to really, you should go anyways, but it just means, more work with Dale, right?
I swear I didn't pay her for that. No.
He didn't.
But I really do appreciate you inviting me to do this with you, Stacey.
Yeah, it's been fun. Yeah, this is the stuff I like to do and how I like to support. Yeah.
So when you email Stacey, be sure to encourage her to come to the retreat, because even though she knows a lot, she might learn something new.
I'm sure there's always the beginner mind, always be the student. there's always something to learn in each interaction. I always find that to be really grounding because I can get a little arrogant sometimes when my ego takes over, right?
I get a lot of arrogance.
Yeah, that's another thing that feels good.
And I'm proud of it.
So it's always grounding to say there's something to learn here. Yeah, that's always important. So yes. So I will hope, so I'll get Dale for those, I think most of you are from his mailing list. Yes. Oh, that sounds fun. And I'll get you yeah, it sounds great. And yeah, I'll have Dale send the link out to you guys. Yes. I guess I'll see you guys all at the retreat. Sounds like.
Yeah, they're all saying, "Come on, water's fine." So,
right, the water's fine. So,
and I want to thank everybody for showing up and bringing your questions. Otherwise, I would have bored you to death with stories and banjo.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun, and when I usually do lives, I get like 2 people show up, so this was really fun. Yes, thank you, Sherry. Yeah, so okay, I'm gonna hit end broadcast, and Dale, don't go anywhere. Okay, so it's nice seeing everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.